going to start with, that reminds me of the time we have pulled out an unbelievable amount of rocks. We have put a rock berm around almost 2 sides of the property. And I will have rocks for building walls and whatever for years and years and years to come. Every bit of this came out of the septic system. I think one of the things that people don't consider when they go to live in the mountains is that there are so many unforeseens. Whether you're fighting nature or animals or other conditions that are unseen, like I expected that 3 or 4 days I would put in the whole septic system. I've got 2 weeks and I probably got close to 300 man hours into putting this system together, and I still don't have it done or finished or passed off. And so what I thought was going to be, let's say, an $8,000 system is quickly turning into a $20,000 system. So as you're budgeting and looking to save money towards going off-grid or for your homestead, I would take your budget and double it, and then I would also double your timeline. And then I'd maybe add a margin of 10 or 15% for error, because there are so many surprises that come along. I knew there were rocks. I did the perk test. I knew there were rocks there. I had no idea there would be this many, or that they would be so difficult to get out. So this septic system has been a real struggle, and it's kicking my butt. Now, I had some neighbors say, hey, why didn't you have somebody else come and do that and just pay them to do it, and then it would be their headache and it would be their hassle, and you could just write a check and you could work on something else. And I thought about that. I wondered, okay, if I had all the money in the world and I could just pay somebody else and stop in and check on it, and in a while time would go by, I would keep writing checks, and we would have house, septic, guest house, barns, sheds, animals, and it would be this beautiful thing that would be here. But what I realized is what's giving this value, what's making this so special, is the struggle, is the hardship. It's the hardship that's creating the value in this experience, in this property. And I think that's the intangible that most people that go out and homestead, live off grid, build a cabin in the mountains, whatever they're doing, that you can't quite explain to those people back in the city that are on the couch watching TV. There is some real value in the struggle and the sense of accomplishment and the feeling of overcoming and problem solving that isn't tangible, but it's there, and it has real value. one of the biggest things that homesteaders or people off-grid have to deal with is human waste. It's a real problem. The way that we're dealing with it here is a septic system, and what we've put in is a couple of concrete septic tanks that'll work in series, and then we've got our I call them the turtleback system. There's several different manufacturers that make this infiltrator style leach field. In old systems, you had to dig a trench, put a pipe in it that had a bunch of holes in it, and then fill up that trench with gravel, and that let the water percolate back into the soil. So this accomplishes the same thing, but it saves you a lot of money in trucking, rock products, and excavation work. You don't have to dig as deep, you don't have to haul in gravel to put in leach fields. It's a much simpler system. So the dome creates a void in there, and then they're 3 foot by 5 foot at the bottom, which means you've got 15 square feet of surface area in each one of those individual little turtleback pieces. So you put a whole bunch of those together, and we've got 250 square foot of area that water from the system can leach back into the ground. Now we've got 5 different lines, which is going to put us really close to 1,200 total square foot. This system will allow us to build a house, to build a guest house, without ever overwhelming this system, and without having to come back and put in another system down the road. Here. As you can see, we've had to fight the rock absolutely everywhere in order to get the system in. Now we want these to be put in nice and flat so that the water, as it's coming out of the tank and fills these voids, fills the entire space evenly. If it was set at an angle, then all the water would run to the end and build up, and it would have a harder time percolating back into the soil. It's better to spread it out over a greater area. So all of these are set at a level, and then we keep them as flat as we can. So part of what we've been struggling with on this particular system is all the rock. We've just fought the rock. And we knew there was going to be some rock, but we had no idea it was going to be this bad, or that it was going to be so much work to get them dug out. So this rock may have to get hammered out, chiseled out, so that we can get pipes around the corner and get to another bank of the plastic domes.